Hey there. Welcome. Today we're going to spend just a few minutes tuning up your writing. We're going to tackle some of the most common, and let's be honest, most annoying grammar mistakes out there. You know that feeling, right? You've written something, you read it back, and there's just this nagging sense that something isn't quite right. Maybe a sentence sounds a little clunky or just weak. It's a super common feeling. Well, the good news is you are definitely not alone. These are the kinds of mistakes that trip up pretty much everyone. And the even better news, we're about to show you exactly what they are and how to fix them for good. So let's think of this as a most wanted list for grammar villains. These are the sneaky errors that creep into our writing all the time. But once you know what they look like, you can stop them in their tracks. So get this, a huge nationwide study actually ranked the top 20 most common writing mistakes. We're not going to go through all of them, but we are going to zero in on some of the biggest troublemakers. Things like mashing sentences together incorrectly, getting apostrophes mixed up, and that old classic subject-verb agreement. Okay, so before we can perform surgery on our sentences, we need to understand their basic anatomy. What actually makes a sentence tick? Well, it really just comes down to three key parts. First off, every complete sentence has to have a subject. This is basically the star of the show, the person, the place, the thing, or even the idea that the whole sentence is about. You know, like Charisse, or the park, or the idea. Next up, that subject needs to do something or be something. That's where the verb comes in. It's the action, like decided or runs, or it could be a state of being, like is or was. It's the engine of the sentence. And finally, those two parts, the subject and the verb, have to team up to express a complete thought. The sentence has to feel finished. It can't leave you hanging. For example, David waited. That's a complete thought. But although David waited, that just leaves you wondering, well, what happened? When you have a group of words that expresses a full idea like that, it's called an independent clause. So just remember this really simple formula. Subject plus a verb equals a complete thought. If you're missing any one of those three ingredients, you don't have a complete sentence. What you've got is something called a sentence fragment. Okay, now this is where a lot of people get into trouble. What happens when you've got two of those complete thoughts, two of those independent clauses, and you want to join them into one sentence? You might end up with something that looks like this. See, I was strongly attracted to the job offer is a complete thought, and it was with a dynamic company is another complete thought. You can't just stick a comma between them and call it a day. That's a classic error called a comma splice. It's number 16 on that most wanted list for a very good reason. And the good news is there are three super simple ways to fix this. One, just use a period. Boom, now you have two strong separate sentences. Two, you can use a semicolon, which is great when the two ideas are really closely connected. And the third way is to use a comma. But, and this is key, you have to add a little connecting word right after it. An easy way to remember those words is the acronym FANBOYS. That's for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Now, what's really funny about this is the whole semicolon debate. Even though it's totally correct, not everyone's a fan. The famous author Kurt Vonnegut absolutely hated them, and this quote right here just shows you how passionate people can get about that one little punctuation mark. All right, let's move on and look at two other incredibly common traps. And the great thing is, these are super easy to avoid once you know the rule. First up is subject-verb agreement. Now, the rule itself sounds simple. Singular subjects get singular verbs, plural subjects get plural verbs. But here's the part that trips people up. In the present tense, the singular verb is usually the one that ends with an S, like the horse runs. The plural verb doesn't get the S. The horses run. I know, it feels a little backwards, but that's just how it works. And then there's the apostrophe. Oh man, this little guy causes two major headaches. The first is it's versus its. Here's the only rule you ever need to remember. If you can replace the word with it is, then you use the apostrophe. If you can't, you don't. That's it. The second headache is showing who owns what. For a single owner, the apostrophe comes before the S, like the cat's toy. But if you have more than one cat sharing a toy, the apostrophe goes after the S, the cat's toy. So we've diagnosed the main problems, and we've looked at the cures. Let's just do a quick wrap-up of the key takeaways that'll keep your writing looking sharp. Here's your cheat sheet. Number 1, always build your sentences on that solid foundation. Subject, verb, complete thought. Number 2, Connect those complete thoughts the right way, with a period, semicolon, or a comma plus a fanboy's word. Number 3, make sure your subjects and your verbs always agree. And finally, number 4, the easiest one to remember, it's always means it is. I'm serious, if you can nail just these 4 things, your writing is going to improve dramatically.
And I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. Language is alive, you know? It's always changing. That comma splice we just talked about fixing, it's already showing up everywhere in texts and even in some modern novels. So it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Which of the rules we're so careful about today might be totally acceptable, or maybe even the new standard in the future? Something to think about. Thanks for watching.